Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com. When all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
We are live, and it is August. August is here. Football right around the corner, 3 days away to the start of the NFL season. And this is Wager Talk Today, every Monday through Friday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Wager Talk TV, and now on your mobile devices as well with the Wager TV app. Don't forget to download it sooner than later. I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez the next couple days. He is on assignment as we speak, but my co-host, as always, is here. Rocksteady Teddy covers wagertalk.com. And Teddy, it's Monday, it's August, it's a new month, a new week, football around the corner, but we got a lot of baseball still in the meantime. We're going to get to a lot of baseball on the show today with Marco D'Angelo, Brian Leonard, and Carmine Bianco. Carmine's also going to look at some soccer as the English Premier League, the Europe League, is starting, and he's also got a free download we're going to talk about that you can get at wagertalk.com. You've also got a big game breakdown in the middle with some baseball. So a lot of baseball for Monday. But before we get big game breakdown, NFL preseason. I misspoke. You've got that Thursday NFL preseason game between your Las Vegas Raiders and the Drew Martin's Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to get to that in the middle of this show. But we are going to have some baseball here on the top with Mark in a couple minutes. But before we do so, what did you learn this weekend in the world of sports?
Well, two things stand out. First, you nailed it. It's August 1st. You say football season's almost here. Football season's almost here. No. Football season is here on August 1st. If you haven't started football prep, start. If you started football prep, finish. Of course, we'll do it's season 20. I don't know if it's season 9. Actually, I think it might be season 19. I don't know if it's season 19 or season 20 of the opening line report with Drew Martin. Will go, obviously, today. After this show, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And it's been 25 years now since I arrived in Las Vegas to bet on sports for a living. I got here August 1998, just before the start of the NFL preseason. For the start of the NFL preseason, 25 years later, we're still doing what we do. But we have to talk about Bill Russell for a minute here, because Bill Russell did something that no one will ever do again. All right, Bill Russell, of course, the Hall of Famer for the Boston Celtics, who passed away yesterday. No one's ever going to do this again. Back-to-back titles for San Francisco in college, an Olympic gold medal, and then 11 titles in 13 years for the Celtics. That's 13 championships and a gold medal in 15 years. I'll take the under on another guy accomplishing that particular task. Rest in peace, Bill Russell. You deserve some kudos.
Yeah, Teddy, it's interesting. I was going to talk about Bill Russell as well when he sent over the overnight notes. I was glad to see that you had it in the break, the What Did Bettors Learn? Because obviously it's not something we're going to have actionable info on in the near future here as far as betting. But I thought a big picture takeaway for me, the first thing I saw when I saw that he passed away was there's always that great debate. You had Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, and Chamberlain was putting up all the individual accolades during his career, where Russell was kind of less on the stat side, really good defensively still, but, the team atmosphere, more championships. And I think still as a handicapper, it's something we even see nowadays with some teams and some players. And I still think Wilt Chamberlain, the most dominated basketball player in history. You have to look at how they were in their era. I mean, they literally changed rules because of the guys, such as, I believe, goaltending, the 3-second rule, things like lane violation. He also had 100 points. You look at the all-time scoring records. I think he has 6 or 9 of the top 12 point games still ever. I mean, so Chamberlain was a man among boys, but Bill Russell, what would you rather have? All those individual accolades, or like you said, 11 titles in 13 years, gold medals? You really can make an argument that Bill Russell maybe had a more successful career than even Wilt Chamberlain.
I don't even think it's close. And it does have enormous betting implications when you talk about the theory behind what we do. All right, Wilt Chamberlain, absolutely, the better statistical profile player. All right, monster numbers. But if you're betting on Wilt Chamberlain against Bill Russell, you lost again and again and again. As handicappers, What we try to do is find the stuff that may not be statistically remarkable, where the betting markets are like, oh, let's get very excited about this team or this guy or whatever it is. And oftentimes the value lies in the guys that aren't putting up the monster numbers. How many titles does James Harden have?
Yeah.
So, that's which is NBA 60 years ago to NBA today. In that sense, the team game element of it versus the individual element of it, both from a betting marketplace standpoint and a how to make money off this league standpoint, it really hasn't changed that much in that regard.
Yeah, so you and I aren't big prop guys, such as like Matt Josephs or Andy Lang. We do look at the team elements. I was going to say it really doesn't matter because we're handicapping the point spreads and the totals. It's what matters, on the core of the team. But of course, we do have the player props now. Can you imagine what Wilt Chamberlain's game over-unders would have been back in the day if they'd had player props 60 years ago with your local bookie in Chicago? Like Chamberlain's over-under for this game, 75.5. But yeah, it is interesting in that regard. And you also wonder, had the roles been reversed, what would Wilt's role have been on the Celtics? Could Bill Russell have put up 70 or 100 points? Probably not. But, he would have had some monster games had he been on weaker teams and had to do everything himself. Speaking of good teams, WagerTalk.com is a pretty good team. And one of our leaders is Marco D'Angelo. He'd be a co-captain. I hesitate to call Prez a co-captain, Marco. That would just send him over the top as far as ego. By the way, when I saw Bill Russell pass, this is how my mind works, and this is a little Prezish for you. I thought of one of the best Miami Vice episodes ever, and if you haven't seen it, go back and find it. Bill Russell is the guest star, probably 86, 1987. He's in his early 50s. He's the father, and I believe the actor is Bernard King. Teddy's Bernard King. Way before Ray Allen, he's got game. It's a great episode, Teddy, if you haven't seen it, because Bill Russell is a judge. And he has a gambling he's a compulsive sports bettor, and he gets in where he has to ask his son to fix a game in college eventually. It's a great Miami Vice episode, probably my favorite ever. Bill Russell and I believe Bernard King, so check that out. Viewers in the chat, chime in if you've seen it. Marco D'Angelo, that was my Prez moment for the show, as we had to get some kind of TV or Netflix talk in. Marco, your thoughts on August 1st? Are you ready for football?
I'm ready, and obviously Teddy had to be a fan of Miami Vice. I've seen him in many sport coats and T-shirts
He's looking
on the
at it right
show,
now.
so definitely he got his fashion statement from there. But yeah, it's August, and dog days of summer are still there for baseball. So don't sleep on making money on baseball, but yeah, you can start to smell the pigskin in the air, getting ready for preseason football. I'm not a high volume guy in preseason, but I'll pick some good spots. It's the only time of the year where coaches might actually be honest in press conferences and get a good idea of what they're going to do that coming week for the preseason games. And then, of course, college football just around the corner. So looking forward to it. Busy time. And, we've got a couple weeks, the meet and greet here in Vegas. So it's going to be a fun month of August. Look forward to it. And you guys coming out for the meet and greet, get to see what we have every year during July and August when it's, like 110 plus every day. Get to enjoy it. But it's a dry heat, guys. So don't worry about it when you're coming.
And when it comes to Miami Vice, the number of episodes of Miami Vice I've watched in my life, the over-under be a half, and I'll take the under. I never sat through an episode. They were cultural icons, but it wasn't a show I ever watched, ever.
Dang, that's a pop culture show, man.
What's funny, because I never thought of Teddy wearing he's got the jacket. We can't see if the sleeves are rolled up because that would make it true 80s, but the teal T-shirt with that is very Miami Vice-ish, and Joe Ranieri can give you some tips. He's down in Miami. I'm looking it up now. It's called The Fix. The episode was called The Fix. Bill Russell. That's a great episode. Teddy, if you're going to watch that one. You would enjoy it. Marco, as we said, a lot of baseball still. We've got Teddy's former New York Mets against my probably former Washington Nationals now in an NL East battle here. The Mets still trying to get DeGrom back in the rotation. He's thrown in the minors. If DeGrom is healthy, I think this team still, you can really make a case, could be the favorite with him and Scherzer in any 7-game series going 4 or 5 games maybe. But this is regular season still, and we have to handicap these games on a daily basis. The Mets coming in off 6 straight wins here. They just swept the Marlins in Miami, had those 2 big wins against the Yankees, and impressively, they did not let down after those 2 wins against the Yankees with that sweep. Look, my Nationals are having a rough season. They got the distractions with the trade deadline tomorrow, I guess. Soto's been in the mix here for a few weeks. What are you looking at in this game? How would you play this one, Mets at Washington tonight on Monday?
Well, there's only one way to play this game, and you're going to pay a price for it in just about any capacity that you want to try to do it. We're going to end up looking at the run line in this game. But as you said, the Mets have won 6 in a row. 2 things come out of that. As you said and pointed out, they could have had a letdown after the Subway Series. I mean, that was a highly touted series. It's always, big interleague matchup, and they didn't let down. So kudos to them for that. That's a sign of a good team. The other part is not only did they win 6 games in a row, they did it in dominating fashion. They outscored their opponents during that 6-game winning streak 36-17. So that bodes well for us looking at a run line proposition tonight. They're scoring runs. If you're looking at run lines, I much prefer taking a road team laying 1.5 than a home team. A, you're going to get a better price. 2, you're looking at a situation where you're guaranteed 9 at-bats instead of possibly only 8 if you're taking the home team. But when we look at this matchup, it should be a blowout. Max Scherzer's pitching great baseball right now. He's allowed 2 runs or less in 7 straight outings. Now you look at who's on the mound for Washington, and yeah, Washington's had a bad season, but I don't know that anybody's had a worse season than Pat Corbin. This guy has been an absolute train wreck all season long, especially in his night starts. In 13 night starts, his ERA is 7.08. His whip is 1.94. Guys, if you're putting 2 guys on base every inning, bad things are going to happen. There's just no way around it. He's only averaging 4.8 innings per start in those 13-9 games, which also benefits us laying runs here, which means we're going to get into a Washington bullpen earlier than most games. And if you look at them, that bullpen's been overworked as well, because the last 4 games, Washington's given up 24 runs in 4 games. The big key stat for me here with Corbin, in 22 division starts the last 2 seasons, Washington's just 4-18 in his starts, and they're losing those games by an average of 2.8 runs a game. Also, Washington is a team. Reason they're so bad this year, obviously, has been in division play. 8-36 this year against division opponents. And again, they're averaging 2.8 runs again per loss there. I got to take the Mets and lay the 1.5. And the other thing that you said about the trade deadline, when you've got a team that's a seller and not a buyer at the trade deadline, you don't want to be backing that team at all in those couple days leading up to it, because there are so many distractions, so many players wondering, hey, am I going to be here tomorrow or not? It's not a good situation. So I think the Mets minus 1.5 is an outstanding play tonight.
So here's my question, Marco. I can't argue with anything that you said. All right. But this, to me, feels like one of those games that there's absolutely no case to make for the underdog. There's no case for the underdog. And you're seeing that in the consensus numbers. I mean, I'm seeing 90% consensus for the Mets, which is about as high as you ever see in any sport at any time. So you have one of these games where there's no case to make for the underdog, and every single public bettor is laying it with the favorite. Does that concern you? Is that why this is here as opposed to on your official card? Or I mean, talk about the concept of a game where you just can't make a case for the other side. Is it an auto play, even if it's a big favorite?
Yeah, Teddy, I can't argue with anything you said either about that. We know long-term in sports betting, if something looks that good, it always finds a way to bite you in the butt. But this is one of those spots where, I'm going to try to find the right way to do it with the Mets. I don't want Washington. This is a team that really, you hate to say it in the middle of July, but they look like a team that's quit. I mean, there's no fire to this team at all. And if they lose their best player, the message there, that the management has given up on this team as well, which obviously looking at the record, you have to for this season. But every once in a while, the public wins. We know that. I mean, they're going to win games, and they're going to make you pay the price to do it. Will I go out and lay the money line on a straight wager in this game? Absolutely not, because I don't care how good it looks. We always see those situations where somebody, just look at the card yesterday. There were big underdogs that got the money yesterday, but the Mets are playing well. If you're considering them, maybe hook them in a money line parlay where you're only going to lose one unit if they, go down. And I know the next guest up, me and him have this argument all the time when we're having a plate of chicken wings with Brian Leonard. He says the math is still the math. I know the math is still the math with a big favorite, but I would rather risk one unit than risk 2.5 units on a wager to find a way to get a winner, because I can hook them with somebody that can still get me either even money or in some instances still plus money on a money line parlay.
Yeah, Marco, the one big difference, because I always do the NFL Fade the Public video during the football season, and I'm also very leery, as I know you are, because you and I are kind of contrarian handicappers at heart, when the public lines up on one side. But the difference, of course, as Teddy knows also in baseball, as opposed to basketball or football, when everyone's on one side in a football game, a lot of times those ugly ducklings cash because the line just gets 2-3 points out of whack. You get an extra field goal maybe. In baseball, of course, they can set this price minus 1,000, and if the Mets still win, they cover. So it's here again, the price might be too high, but on a one and done scenario like this, it might not matter because the Mets probably still get the win in this game. So very hard to back the Nats. And once again, on the run line, he's getting the price down almost 100 cents. Instead of minus 240, minus 250, you're getting it down to minus 140 on the minus 1.5. So if something strange happens, you're losing half as much on the juice. And Mets winning by one isn't too likely, in my opinion. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the Nats get fired up with Scherzer back in town. But if anything, I think Scherzer's probably fired up to be back in town against his former team. So, interesting game there. And one of the reasons I love having Marco D'Angelo on, not only because it's $9 Mondays, and by the way, it is $9 Monday. Every best bet, every capper, August 1st today is $9. Tremendous discount off the normal $25 or $35 price for a single play. So $9 Monday. But the other reason I love having Marco on Mondays is because we often have that fade the Sunday night team play, and we've gone against them a lot, Marco. However, the Giants are now staying at home. They're a home dog against the Dodgers. I don't think they'll be let down here. Do we fade the team coming off the Sunday night win, or are you going to back them this time? Giants at home against the Dodgers.
No, we're actually going to back them here, Steve. And yeah, we've made some money finding the right spots to fade those Sunday night games. But actually, even though the Giants played last night on ESPN Baseball, I feel they've got the scheduling advantage tonight. You've got the Dodgers are coming off a 4-game series against Colorado in the altitude. We always talk about, going into the altitude and how it affects players, blah, blah, blah with that. But it was a big series for the Dodgers because last time they went to Colorado, they didn't play as well. They took 3 of 4 from the Rockies, and now they go to play, one of their rivals. San Francisco's been their main rival over the last few years. Padres, stepped up the last couple of years. We've had some great series with those two. But the Giants, they haven't been playing good baseball. They had lost 7 in a row prior to winning 3 of 4. Now, the 3 of 4 came against the Cubs. Granted, yeah, it's the Cubs, and the Cubs aren't a good team on the season. But entering that series, the Cubs were playing probably their best ball of the season. And if you're going to start a winning streak, it's got to start somewhere, no matter who the opponent is. So they got it started against the Cubs. But what I'm looking at here is I like this pitching matchup tonight with the Giants. Now, first off, the Dodgers are going to be sending Andrew Heaney to the mound. Here's a guy that, when he's healthy, has pitched well. He's got some good stuff. Problem is, this guy just can't stay healthy. He's only got 4 starts on the season. He just came off the injury list for the second time last Wednesday. He pitched 4 shutout innings. Now, he should be stronger in the second start off of that, but they're still going to have him on a pitch count. So I don't expect to see him more than 5 innings in this game. On the other side of the coin, you've got the Giants with Logan Webb. If there's been one pitcher for the Giants that has been consistent most of this season and last, it's been Logan Webb, especially when the guy pitches at home. This guy has a phenomenal record at home, and I'm going to continue to ride him. You look at his numbers for the season, he's got an ERA of 2.91 and a whip of 1.13. Both great numbers. But whenever he switches to home, he's got 11 home starts, and that ERA drops down to 2.43. In those 11 games, the Giants are 9-2 when he's on the mound. Haney's a left-hander, and the Giants this season, they're 21-14 against lefties, 7 games over 500, and they're averaging over 5 runs per game facing the lefties. So I'm going to look for the Giants with all of that, Logan Webb at home, the scheduling advantage to go ahead and get the job done here tonight against the Dodgers. And anytime you play a 4-game series in Colorado, your bullpen's going to see some work. So I think the Giants have an advantage there as well tonight. And last key stat for you on Webb, the last 3 seasons, I talked about how good he's been at home. Well, he's been even better when he's pitched at night at home. The Giants are 13-1 in his 14 night starts at home over the last 3 seasons. And the opposition in those 14 games have averaged just 2.9 runs per game. I'm going to go ahead and take a shot with San Francisco. I know there'll be a lot of people that are going to jump on the Dodgers just based on the price, saying, and we say this every time the Yankees are a short favorite on the road. Well, how often are you going to get the Dodgers at this price? Well, yeah, I think there's a reason. I'm taking San Francisco tonight.
So you talked about LA in Colorado and the fact that their bullpen might be worn down, but 2 of their starters went 7 innings, and the other 2 went pitched into the 6th. So it wasn't like they completely used up their bullpen against the Rockies. And given what happened, Webb just faced LA last week, and he mowed them down for 6 innings. Then the Giants bullpen came in and blew the game. I'm not sure the Giants bullpen has an edge over anybody. Would this be a first 5-inning line, or would this be a full game line as you break it down?
If it wasn't Haney pitching, it would have been a first 5-inning wager for me. Haney, like I said, when he's healthy, he's pitched well for the Dodgers. You look at the 4 starts he's had this year has been good. The last start in rehab was a good start for him, but the start before that wasn't. If any other pitcher was going, this would have absolutely been a first 5, no question about it. If you want to split your wager half a unit each way, Teddy, I wouldn't have a problem with that either, but I do expect Haney to have, some success in the first couple innings. It's going to be a question of how far he goes. But again, as I did say, the Giants do hit lefties well. So they're averaging 5.1 runs per game against them. But great point on the first 5 innings.
He's Marco D'Angelo, wagertalk.com. And of course, as I said, Marco, it's $9 Monday for you, myself, Teddy, every capper at wagertalk.com. You're on a mirror, by the way, 18-6, 5% run. So any 5% play from all cappers, just $9 today as well. What are you looking at for $9 Monday and this week overall at wagertalk.com?
Well, $9 Monday is going to consist of, you're going to get my entire card today for $9. And the reason I do that a lot of the times on Monday is when I'm here, I give you a couple plays on the show, and generally, one or both of them will make my card in addition to my other plays. So you're going to get everything I have today for $9. I'll get it up after the show here and, take advantage of all the cappers for $9. And it's Mondays are great. And if anybody's got any advanced plays up for something later in the week, well, guess what? It's $9 today as well. Take advantage.
That's right. $9 Monday. It's quite simple. Every play, $9. Wagertalk.com, Mondays only. That's Marco D'Angelo. I am Steve Merrill, and that is Teddy Covers. And Teddy, give us 30 seconds. Football is around the corner, and you're going to have a big game breakdown for this Thursday's first NFL preseason game of the year, free right here on the show. Raiders-Jags in 30 seconds.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk the Hall of Fame game Thursday night. The Raiders and the Jaguars in Canton, Ohio. And there's money coming in on this game right now, this morning. We're seeing money literally as we speak for the Jaguars. This was Raiders minus 1.5 last night. I'm seeing a pick'em / Raiders -1 right now. Total sitting at 32.5. So we are seeing legitimate Jacksonville money in early betting action on Monday. I'm going to talk about the total as opposed to the side here. And look, I understand it's as low as it gets, 32.5 for an NFL total. But the Hall of Fame game is fairly unique in that the offenses don't look good in the Hall of Fame game ever. All right. Expect nothing but ugliness. It doesn't matter coaches, doesn't matter teams. The defense, what do they always say when you're reading the training camp reports? Defense ahead of the offenses early. Now, no coach, especially two brand new coaches who don't have a whole lot of stuff on film yet, wants to show anything. So I'm expecting vanilla offensively. I'm expecting poor offensive line play. I'm expecting poor red zone execution, field goals, not touchdowns. And even at 32.5, there was a half-point loser at this number, 17-16 in 2018. Even with that, it's still 6-3 to the under the last 11 years. 2 games have been canceled. There was one for the lockout, one for field conditions. But even at this low number, let's look for the Raiders and Jags to play an ugly, boring Hall of Fame game that stays under the total. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
Yeah, we often say the highest totals in the NBA, they go over. The lowest totals, they stay under. And Ralph Michaels, 6.5s or less, 7 of the previous 8 years in baseball. If you blindly played the under, they stay under. And this is the lowest total you'll see probably all year in the NFL. So it's low for a reason. 16-3 last year, 14-10 2 years before that when they had a game. So don't let the low number fool you, folks. It's low for a reason. The offenses are behind the defenses early in the football season. All right, Teddy, a little big game breakdown. Football starts this Thursday night with that preseason game. We're going to return to some baseball now with our next guest, Brian Leonard, wagertalk.com. And Brian, you'll also be on the MLB First Pitch show. And because Teddy has opening line report at 1 Eastern with Drew Martin, you guys will be on at 2 p.m. Eastern. Tony Finn, Drew Martin, Brian Leonard here on the network. Don't forget, all these are available on your mobile devices, folks. The Wager Talk TV app is available for download in all the app stores. Get it now. Watch on the go. You can also watch it archived, of course, here on YouTube. But that Wager Talk TV app, there you see it. Use that QR code on the screen right now on your smartphone to get that download. Watch Opening Line Report, MLB First Pitch, Wager Talk Today, all the great content. Brian, talk some baseball with Marco D'Angelo. Going to talk some more baseball with you. And I want to start with a American League game. The Red Sox fell below my former Baltimore Orioles last week and fell into last place. They'd gone through some rough times. We talked about it on the baseball show against your Cleveland Guardians, who we'll get to here in a moment. But now the Red Sox have to go play the Houston Astros, one of the best teams in baseball. The Astros, like the Yankees, have a huge lead. They have kind of coasted recently, just like the Yankees. How do you play in this one tonight? Do you dare back the Red Sox, or are they just a pure fade right now?
Yeah, I'm looking to fade Boston, especially around the trade deadline right now. It's a situation that Boston's not in very often. Normally, they're buying during the trade deadline, and this year I think I don't think they'll be sitting out, but I think they may be moving somebody, and that's something that Boston's not used to. This has been a very disappointing season for the Red Sox. He was watching the game just the other day when Cleveland was there, and Boston, it says they sell out every game just about, but I'm looking and I'm seeing more empty seats in Fenway Park now than I've seen in a long time. This team's really been a disappointment this year, and now they're going up against Houston in this game, who to me is obviously the second best team in the American League, probably the third best team in all of baseball. Eovaldi spent like 5.5, 6 weeks on the IL. He came back and he has been horrendous since he's been back. He's had 3 starts, and he's gone 13 innings and allowing 16 earned runs in that time. And if you remember, just 3 starts back was the game where Toronto scored 28 runs, and Eovaldi was on the line. Last year, or excuse me, after that game, I made the exception and bet on Boston with Eovaldi that he'd have a nice bounce back, but he hasn't bounced back. His velocity's been very, very down. I still think he's hurt. They brought him back too early. He's their best starting pitcher, and they brought him back early. Very similar to Lance Lynn of the White Sox. I think they brought him back a little bit too early, too. He's only had 1 good start since he's been back. But now we've got Eovaldi here going against a good team in the Houston Astros, a team that's a very good hitting team, and they've got a really strong pitcher on the mound here. I don't like to lay these kind of prices normally, and we've only got 8 games today, and only 6 of them actually have lines on them, as 2 games haven't announced their starting pitchers yet. So limited card today, but I think this is a nice one here on Houston. Looking to fade Boston. They're bringing up some of their younger players right now. Houston's a team that's on a nice run, and after losing and being swept by the Oakland A's in a series in which they obviously took them for granted, I don't think that's going to happen here. When Boston Red Sox come to town, even though they have a losing record, this is not a team that you expect teams to let down against. And congratulations to the Baltimore Orioles and your team in the American League, because they're playing good baseball and they are actually in the playoff race. They can get a wild card. So it'll be interesting to see what Baltimore does here the last couple of days of the trade deadline.
So the Red Sox yesterday fell behind early and then rallied and ended up dominating the game the rest of the way. I think 4 guys had multi-hit games. The bullpen was there. Every time you think Boston's dead, they come back and fight. And this is a team with a better road record than they have at home this season. And it's not like the Astros are in one of these spots where you're like, oh, yeah. I mean, it's been 10 straight games since the break against divisional opponents for Houston, including a couple of series against the resurgent Mariners. So given all those factors, still worth laying this big price?
Yeah, they played the Mariners twice, 2 series, and they played the Yankees. So this is obviously the lesser of the teams that they played in the second half. Boston still has a lot of talent. They are missing some key pieces that are injured right now. Devers is out right now, and he's probably their best all-around player. But Bogaerts has been playing very well, and I like the back of the Red Sox bullpen right now. The 7th, 8th, and 9th guys are guys that I think they can depend on the rest of the season. The problem is when you've got Boston listed in the lineups. This bet on the betting markets, there's still a lot of people that think Boston is a team that can win, which I think gives us a little bit of an advantage here. If you were to take the numbers from Boston, from the players that they have, and if it didn't say Boston on their jerseys, we're probably laying $2 here with Houston. The line's a little expensive, and it should be. Houston's a team that's been very good all season long, and they've been great against winning teams, although Boston's, I believe, a game under 500 right now. But good things to point out there, Teddy. But I still think Houston in this game is the side to play.
Yeah, Brian, it's interesting. I was looking at one of the offshore books going into the weekend did have odds on 3 different Red Sox players. I think Bogaerts was minus 800 not to be traded before the weekend. But, even if they trade or not, still a distraction for that team with the uncertainty, and they've been not playing good baseball. But they're still just 3.5 back from the wild card, even in last place behind the Orioles right now in the AL East. So that's Red Sox. Brian Leonard's liking the Astros. And now we have to get to his Cleveland Guardians against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Cleveland, one of those teams that did take advantage of Boston last week, as you mentioned, playing pretty good baseball. They've won, 4 of their last 6. They got a few there in Boston. Arizona, 3 straight losses at Atlanta, now traveling without rest to Cleveland. How are you playing this one? D-backs at Guardians Monday night.
Yeah, Arizona played really well in the month of July. They were very competitive, about 500 record in the month of July. But when you take a look at the teams that they played, they were all weaker teams. They're only 1-5 in the month of July against winning teams. 6 games against winning teams is very low, and a 1-5 record is not very impressive. Cleveland's a winning team. They're a few games over 500. They're not a great team, but take a look at what Arizona has done this season against right-handed pitchers. WRC plus of 90 on the season and 94 over the last month. So they're below average in that regard, 10% below over the season and 6% below the last month. Cleveland is a team that, to me, is pretty easy to handicap. When they're facing lefties, they struggle. When they're facing righties, they're in very good shape. On the season, Cleveland has a 107 WRC plus against righties, 115 over the past month. I really like the matchup here. They're going here against Zach Davies. Zach Davies is not a fastball guy. He's a jump ball pitcher. And that's what Cleveland should work very well here. If you look at Zach Davies on the season, from his barrel percentage has been very good. He keeps batters off balance. But this is not your typical Major League Baseball team in the Cleveland Guardians. Cleveland is a team, it's a slap hitting team. They've only really got two guys on this team that can really hit for power, three if Reyes is playing well, and he hasn't played well all season long. So most of the guys are there to slap the ball and get on base. In fact, the first two guys in the lineup and the last guy in the lineup, that's what they do. They get on base by slapping the ball for singles and doubles, and they steal bases. And when you're facing a guy that doesn't have a dominating fastball, those are the kind of guys that I think the Guardians are going to fare well against here. So, and you've got the Cleveland pitcher in Quantrill. He's been very good at home all season long. He was actually very good on the road last time out, and I played against him. That was a mistake on my part. But now he's back home. I'm looking to play Cleveland in this one, and I think the line's a little bit cheap. Arizona, as I said, has had a pretty good mark over the last month, but they've done so against bad baseball teams.
Real quick, Brian, when you talk to Zach Davies, he's coming off the IL for this start, but he's one of these guys who's been surprisingly effective. And year in, year out, Davies is a pitcher whose advanced metric stats make him look worse than he actually is on the field because he doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. He's a junk baller, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Do pitchers like that, who are consistently, I'm going to say, underpriced in the betting markets because they don't get the strikeouts, because they're junk ballers, are those guys you're looking to bet against in general, like guys you're looking to bet on in general? How's the value for a pitcher like Davies?
Normally, those kind of guys I'm looking to bet on when they play a team that's got a lot of home run hitters, a lot of guys who swing and miss. You take a look at the Cleveland Guardians. You go down the whiff percentage. Franmil Reyes, 38.9. Andres Gimenez, an all-star, 27.3. Other than that, the rest of the guys on the team, we're looking at not Josh Naylor, who's out probably right now. He's injured right now, but he's one of the three power guys. He only strikes out 19% of the time. Ramirez, 12.9% of the time. That's one of the reasons why he's so good at his position. He connects. He doesn't walk enough, and that's the only problem. But he doesn't strike out very much. And we've got Miles Straw right there. And we also got Stephen Kwan, who's been just terrific on getting on base this year. 8.9 strikeouts is whiff percentage. So you got a Cleveland team that doesn't strike out a lot. I would be surprised if Reyes plays in this game because he's more of a fastball hitter. So I don't think he's even going to play here. So you go down the entire lineup, and I'd be very surprised if Davies gets more than like 3 strikeouts in this game. So it's a situation for me that this is a really good matchup for Cleveland, although these are normally the kind of guys I'm looking to back in Major League Baseball if they are playing a team with a lot of swing and miss, Toronto Blue Jays, the Milwaukee Brewers, and those type of teams.
It's Brian Leonard, WagerTalk.com, and he's actually got a bonus free play on his page right now in that Mets National game that we talked about earlier. He's got a different way to play it than we talked about with Marco. So check out his page for a freebie, another bonus play there, WagerTalk.com. And Brian, what else you got going for $9 Monday?
Yeah, $9 Monday, but it's $0 Monday for everybody who watched this show because my 2 plays are Houston and Cleveland. So I saved everybody $9. And the Mets game, I've got a different way to take a look at that. Marco did a nice breakdown on it. And I, too, believe there's an advantage in that game. And you can check that out right now by going to the free play selection over at wagertalk.com. Or you can go to our new app.
And you can also check him out on the baseball show at 2 o'clock Eastern with Drew Martin and Tony Finn today on Wager Talk TV. Thank you, Brian Leonard. And we're going to finish it off with one more baseball game, Teddy, and also some soccer with our soccer expert, Carmine Bianco. And Carmine, you are officially mine and my son Daniel's favorite Canadian. They love Guerrero Jr. here, my man. I can't wait to see you in person in Vegas in a couple weeks. Carm, I'm going to get to some soccer, also a free preview guide that you can download on your page. But before we do so, I want to ask you a baseball game real quick. You've had a nice baseball run since you started after hockey stopped. You've dove into baseball. My Baltimore Orioles have been a surprise team this year. Lowest win total in the season when it started, but they are still ahead of the Red Sox, only 3 games out of the wild card. The Rangers, though, maybe one of the most unfortunate teams in baseball, and I say that because they are 5-23 in one-run games. Really remarkable. So is this a situation where you have maybe a play on against a play against team? How are you playing this one, Orioles at Rangers? I can't hear Carm. There he is. Come on, Carm. There we go.
Sorry about that. I was
We got you,
muted. I
man.
didn't want to cough while Brian was talking. I love to listen to his info, but thanks for having me on. Yeah, unfortunate with that 5-23 record in those one-run games. Their bullpen's good. Their bullpen is 12th in the league this year, which isn't bad for a team with a losing record. But much like the last time I was on with Teddy, I talked about just looking at what has happened in the past month. Teams will go through those ebbs and flows. It's been more of a flow than ebb for Texas this season with that record, and they're in a bad division. But since the All-Star break, they went into that All-Star break with, or they've come out of the All-Star break playing 11 straight games on the road. So this is their first game back for Texas. They did, I think it was Seattle, LA, and Oakland, and then one game in Miami, a makeup game. And they picked up 3 or 4 against the Angels, but everyone beats up on the Angels right now. And these teams played 3 in July in Baltimore. Baltimore swept them, which was sort of that start of that really great run they went on. As you know, 11-2 to heading into the All-Star break, which probably came at the wrong time for them because they were winning and they were playing extremely well. 5-5 since. For me, it's more of a pitching matchup. I like John Gray at home a lot better than I like Spencer Watkins on the road. Watkins' numbers, while he's got a winning record, his numbers at Baseball Savant, you look at them, they're poor numbers. Everything from his expected batting average to slugging percentage to even his strikeout percentage. And Gray's been good at home. 5 starts, he's 4-0 with a 2.93 ERA, and I think his WHIP is under 1 at 0.98. So for me, it's more of a pitching one because as far as bullpens go, Baltimore's has been better this year. I think they're number 4 in the league this year. Their starting pitching and their bullpen has been good for them, which is probably has to do with where they stand right now. But they've got a really tough, I think, month of August coming up. They've got 17 of 28 are going to be on a road, and a bunch of those are against teams with winning records. 6 against my Toronto Blue Jays. You've got Cleveland, you've got Houston, and then 4 against a team that they're battling as well too in Boston for a playoff spot. I've talked quite a bit there, so I'll throw it back to Teddy.
All right, let's talk a little soccer on the show. We've talked MLB, we've talked NFL. Let's do a little EPL. Premier League kicks off on Friday, and you're going to look at a game on Saturday between the newly promoted Bournemouth and Aston Villa. Give us your thoughts on that opening matchup.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. 3 of the big 5 leagues kick off this weekend. We've got France, we've got England, and we have Germany. And then the following weekend, Spain and Italy will kick off their domestic seasons. But the EPL is the league. It's the best league in the world. Last year at this time, they were talking, fans were protesting outside stadiums because 12 of the best teams in the world were going to create a super league. Well, that fell through, but this is the super league. Premier League is the best league with the best players. And I'm looking at this game, and when you look at, like, Bournemouth is one of 3 teams that were promoted from last season, along with Nottingham Forest and with Fulham. And typically every year, this is what happens. During the summer, these teams come up, they get a wealth of money for being a part of the top league, but they don't spend it. One of them does, 2 of them don't, and 2 of them usually get relegated. One stays up. This year in the summer, it was Nottingham Forest spent money. They've equipped themselves to stay another year in this league. Bournemouth and Fulham really haven't, and this Bournemouth team is probably going to finish 19th or 20th as far as I forecast them to. This is a one and done season for them. Aston Villa, a good season last year, a very good manager in Steven Gerrard, and then they've got the trio of Brazilians in Philip Coutinho, Diego Carlos, and Douglas Luiz, sorry, and the other one. So they're a good team. They're going to surprise a lot of the big teams in the top 10 of the standings. They lost first time out last year in the first round against a team that went on to get relegated, Watford. So if nothing else, that is in their minds. They're plus money. And I put a lot of these plays up early, guys, only because the markets will move this week, and I expect them to go down. They're like plus 114 right now. By game day, they could be down to minus 110, minus 115. And you might as well grab that 30 cents of value now because this line can really only go one way. So I'm going to take Aston Villa to jump out to a quick start on the season with a win on the road in Bournemouth.
Nice underdog price there for free on the show. And of course, Carm is a soccer expert. We talk about football starting this week. Well, El Football, worldwide football, is starting as well. And you've got a free download, a free preview guide for everybody on your page right now. Also, promo code EPL75 gets them $75 off your full season. Carm, tell us about it.
Yeah, I looked at I do it every year, and I put in a bunch of future plays. So it's in that free downloadable PDF that's on my page. There's 23 different bets that I've made this season in EPL. And if you downloaded last year's or even the previous years, there were some valuable and good info in them, and I'll update it throughout the year. But last year, we picked the top three exact order of Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea at plus 1,000 or 10-1 odds. So you get a great one there. There's a few of value in this one, but I played all 23, so I'm not putting them out there and not playing them. You can get them. Last year in EPL, it was my strongest of all the leagues at plus 80.41% bankroll gain with another winning record. And 6 of the last 7 years at Wager Talk, the number one soccer capper. The only year was the pandemic year, and I blame Nicaraguan and South Korean soccer on that one. So, but I'm looking forward to a great year. November and December are going to be absolutely crazy, guys, just because the World Cup, which normally takes place in the summer months, has been moved because it's in Qatar and the heat being a factor. It is in November and December. And if you're a sports fan, we're looking at on the East Coast games at 5 a.m., 8 a.m., 11 a.m. For soccer. And then we get into, obviously, NFL football, college football. We've got NHL hockey going. I'm going to kiss my wife goodbye at some point in November and tell her I'll see her in January.
And the clients will appreciate it, though, because that bankroll gain will be there. 80% increase in EPL last year, number one. And don't forget, you get his download for free. It had a trifecta, 10-1 for free last year. You get all that information for free, along with the discount on both soccer and All Access. He has a promo code for that. So check out his page, Carmine Bianco, wagertalk.com. And Carm, we will see him August 19th and 20th at the meet and greet in Las Vegas. We'll see Teddy Covers as well. You're also going to see Teddy Covers in a few moments with Drew Martin, opening line report, 1 o'clock Eastern, MLB first pitch, 2 p.m. Eastern. And Teddy, don't forget, it's $9 Monday for every best bet, every capper at wagertalk.com. I'll be back tomorrow on Tuesday with you at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Teddy, take us home.
Sure, that's going to wrap it for the Monday edition of Wager Talk today. I want to thank Brian Leonard, Marco D'Angelo, and of course, Carmine Bianco for joining us. I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your busy day to spend with us here on Wager Talk TV. Top of the hour, opening line report. Next hour, MLB first pitch. Stay tuned and, of course, cover it. But Wager Talk today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern. Between now and then, enjoy the games and good luck.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.